Hey MBA applicants, welcome back to the Touch MBA podcast. I am your host, Darren. This week I brought on Professor Adrian Buss from the Frankfurt School of Finance and Management, and we had a really enlightening discussion about the Frankfurt School full-time MBA program. It's a 12-month program with 30 to 40 students per year, coming from over 20 countries. So it's a really cozy but diverse program where students get a lot of support from career services and can't hide, to use the words of Adrian, from professors in the classroom. To those of you considering the Frankfurt School MBA program, I hope you find our conversation useful and interesting, as well as those of you who are thinking about getting an MBA in Europe and are targeting these smaller, customized, high-contact type of programs. I would urge you to consider the Frankfurt School MBA as well. Before we jump into the show, just a reminder that you can get free school selection help at touchmba.com. You just come to touchmba.com, submit your profile, your career goals, your must-have criteria for business schools, maybe some of the schools you're considering, any questions you have, and we'll do our best to point you in the right direction and give you some expert outside guidance, right? It's really important that you guys just get as many eyes as possible on your profile, on your application. This will only help refine not only your school universe that you decide to apply to, but the strength of your application as well. We also have a number of free guides, and we really focus on international MBA programs like the Frankfurt School. So, for example, what are the best MBA programs in Germany or Australia or Singapore, Hong Kong, Canada, France, etc., right? So you can find a bunch of guides as well at touchmba.com/guides. Okay, let's get straight to my conversation with Professor Adrian Buss. Here we go. So it's my pleasure to introduce our next guest to the show. He is the Associate Professor of Finance and Academic Director of MBA Programs at the Frankfurt School of Finance and Management. Prior to joining the Frankfurt School, he taught as an Associate Professor of Finance at Insead for 10 years at both campuses in Fontainebleau and Singapore, and he got his PhD in Finance at the Goethe University Frankfurt. So Dr. Adrian Buss, welcome to the Touch MBA podcast.
Thanks, Darren. My pleasure to be here.
So before we get started, Adrian, could you please let our listeners know about your main responsibilities at the Frankfurt School?
Yes, very happy to do that. So I'm currently the academic director of the MBA programs at Frankfurt School. So we offer a full-time MBA, we offer a part-time MBA, and we offer an executive MBA. And my role is essentially the academic oversight over that suite of MBA programs. And that essentially means to decide what we teach, so program structure, program content, also who teaches, right? You always have a choice who teaches in that program. And naturally, we have to make sure that we get the best people into those programs. So that's the key role, how I would describe it. Academic oversight, academic content, and then also the faculty lineup that's going to be teaching in our programs. And actually, you also get a lot of access to the students, right, and contact to the students. We help them when it comes to careers, and so they often reach out to me in that role as well. But it's more like the secondary role that comes up there.
Got it. And are you teaching in the program as well?
That's right. So I'm also teaching corporate finance, and being a Frankfurt School of Finance, that's one of the biggest core courses we offer. And so I also teach the corporate finance course in the full-time and in the part-time MBA, and I'm also teaching elective course in the executive MBA. Yeah, so covering most of the finance portfolio that we have in the programs.
Fantastic. So, I mean, you're the perfect person to ask then, because you've been at a number of well-regarded institutions for your education and teaching, obviously. Could you first tell me a little bit more about the Frankfurt School of Finance and Management's reputation in Germany?
Yeah, so I would say we are like one of the leading business schools in Germany. The school is relatively young, so in its current form, it's as a full-scale business school, is one of the younger schools. But it's growing very fast. And so in that sense, we are now one of the leading schools. As the name suggests, we have a little bit of a focus on finance and management. Like naturally, it was a university that was training a lot of bank employees in Germany. out of which we built a full-scale business school that then quickly also offered an MBA, which was then complemented by the part-time MBA and also the executive MBA. Yeah. If I add one thing, right, if you already look at our mission, right, the idea is to have German excellence and global relevance. So the idea is, right, to stick with that kind of German characteristics that you might associate with many Germans, right, rigorous education, but then also attracting students and teaching cases from all over the world. So there's clearly that global view that we want to bring in the classroom and also to our other programs.
What makes the Frankfurt School full-time MBA unique from the other leading MBA programs in Germany and Europe?
Yeah. So first thing I want to highlight, like in line with many other European programs, we offer a one-year program, right? So this is quite important that our full-time MBA is a one-year program that we offer here in Frankfurt. Also, it's an in-person program, okay? So we expect students to be on campus because we believe this is the right way to teach an MBA program, to get the most out of the networking, to get the most out of the classroom discussion. It's a full-time program here on campus. Now, what makes it special? I think we have designed a very nice program that on the one hand allows a general management education, as you would expect from any MBA program. So students get the basics of finance, of accounting, of marketing, of supply chain, which we have complemented, however, with like a strong set of electives. So students can specialize in finance and technology, they can specialize in management, and so they get access to a lot of the companies that you usually associate with Germany. So we bring in that German view a little bit. And then part of the MBA in Germany is always a final thesis. And so what we have done there, we allow students to choose between a research thesis, which some do, but most of them choose to do a group consulting project. So this is a true consulting project that we do with companies. So we would kind of source big companies from Germany, that could be banks, that could be big manufacturers, and ask them if they have a consulting project for our teams. And then the teams would literally solve that consulting project in the last 3 months of the MBA. And I think this is really an outstanding ability for them to connect, to network, and to get out and use their skills. And so that is the final part of the MBA. And so this is one big option that many students take. Alternative, they can take an entrepreneurial business plan. So they can sit down with the team and write down their business plan. And so this is also what a lot of students pick up, right? Using their skills to develop this idea that they had for many years, but they couldn't implement because they were lacking some skills. And now they use their knowledge to build that business plan, to get feedback from faculty, to get feedback from the outside world, and also get feedback from the entrepreneurship center. And so in that sense, what we have developed is a very strong one-year program, general management education, strong electives with a great finish of that group consulting project. And I think if you look at all the rankings, it's huge on value for money at the end. So this is one of the key value proposition that we're offering.
Absolutely. And what is the typical size of your full-time class?
So the full-time class is in the ballpark to 30 to 40 students that we take. They are could be a bit like, it's fluctuating a little bit, but it's always in that ballpark. Yeah. I think that's it. It's great, right? For classroom sizes, I think it's ideal. You can't hide, meaning everyone gets involved in classroom discussions, right? Everyone is involved in group discussions. And it also allows for a good career services, right? You get one-to-one meetings with the career team. So in that sense, I think the size is very ideal of what we offer currently.
Yes.
And it's very diverse. Let me add this one.
Yes,
so
please.
if we just welcomed the latest group. They start in September. So last week I welcomed them here on campus, and we had around 20 different nationalities. We draw from practically all industries across the spectrum. So in that sense, it's a very diverse, it's a very international cohort that we always get.
Yeah. So something you mentioned that I just want to ask you a little bit more about is when you were talking about the electives, you mentioned how there's this bent towards companies associated with Germany. And I would like to just talk about that a little more, because that sounds something very unique to what you guys are doing. Could you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, very happy to talk about this one. So what we are trying to do is what I said, we want to be very rigorous on the academic side, but we also want to teach practical knowledge, right? And being in Germany, and for many of our students, we are the step into the German job market, right? We are the step in the European job market. We want to also teach that practical element. And so one way to do that is we invite many external speakers, not only, right, there's also many faculty to our elective teaching. And so you might have someone from a big consulting firm, you might have someone from a big accounting firm, you might have someone from a bank. and they come and they teach either a module or teach part of a module. And that gives students that cut between what's practically relevant, what's practically relevant, and it gives them that immediate network. So many of those have been coming for years back to Frankfurt School, teaching in our program. They would hire the students, and they would also then come to network.
Got it. And you mentioned, 20 nationalities in a class of 30 to 40 students. I mean, that's super diverse. How many of those students can speak German, and how important is it to land that first job that they're fluent in German?
Great point. So out of these 30 to 40 students, I think on an average year we have maybe 2 to 3 German students. Okay. Wow. And the rest is coming from all over the world. So from these students from all over the world, some do know some German, some know limited German. So what we offer, even before they come in September to Frankfurt, we already offer German online courses so that they have some basis when they start here. And then on campus, as soon as they're here, we also offer German courses. Entry to German job market, you need some German. We make that clear from the start, but we provide all the resources that you need that. Why do you need some German? Many of those students don't start at any experienced executives, right? And so they start at some more senior positions. And for those senior positions, you might have to lead a team. And for this, you need to have some German. So we make it clear you don't have to be fluent in German, but there is some basic level of German that simply means you have a much broader job market than if you just know English, right? You will also get a job, but maybe not your dream job because it's a more niche market that you can target. So we make that very clear for students. We want you to learn German, but we give you all the resources you need before you come to Germany and while you're in Germany. Yeah.
No, yeah. And just typically, what are the niche markets for non-German speakers? I'm just genuinely curious in Germany.
Well, like niche market means that the market is a bit smaller, right? But I would say almost every big German company has job offers where you would survive with just English. That could be banks, that could be consulting, could be manufacturing firms, but they have more offers, right? Where you say, I need a certain minimum of German. And so that's what I meant with niche, right? You open your market much more broadly if you have access to all job applications and not the ones that are just saying, oh, you can also do that with English only, as an example. Yeah.
Got it.
But our students, they appreciate that, right? Like learning a language is something that they also enjoy partially. It's intellectually challenging. And it's something that they like when they go out at the end and say, oh, I also speak German now, right? That's helpful for them.
Yes. And for your curriculum, I noticed students can choose between those 2 tracks that you mentioned. I think it was general management and finance and technology.
Exactly. That's the elective choice they have.
Right. And so, like, I noticed you guys are saying, okay, you need to pick 6 in one track or 3 in 3, split them equally. Or like, can someone go and just not pick a track? Like, how does that work? Just want to make sure I understand.
No, so good point. No. So at the end, students are going to specialize in one of the 2 things, but the flexibility is quite big. As you might have seen, some of the courses show up on both sides. So students have to specialize, but I never had anyone telling me, oh, I want to do finance and technology, but I don't find enough electives that cover this. So the idea is really to cater to our strengths. We are a finance school. We are very strong on that. And so we offer that finance and technology, which is a great mix, right? Students learn finance, but they also see how technology might shape that financial landscape and how that is put together. And then other groups might just say, oh, I don't want to specialize in finance. I want that general management things. And then they learn stuff around entrepreneurship, around digital marketing, about negotiations. And so go drift a little bit more on that management side. Yeah.
Got it. Crystal clear. And then, being academic director of the MBA portfolio, right, at the school, what's on the horizon for the Frankfurt School of Finance and Management? And like, how do you see the program evolving, if at all?
No, like we're continuously working on that program to make it better and stronger. And I think we have a few nice elements already in there. For example, students spend 1 week at Bocconi in Italy, like on a module on innovation. So this is something that is now fully incorporated into that module and very much appreciated by the students. If we continue to develop this one, I think one of the things is we continuously review the core courses. Is that what the student needs in today's market? So what we recently did, we put a bit more emphasis on sustainability. So sustainability, ESG topics are incorporated into each asset, into each course. So there is no course that says, oh, this is about sustainability or this is about ESG, because I think the right way to teach that is bring it into each course. Finance can talk about ESG. Supply chain cares about sustainability, right? Accounting now measures sustainability issues. So that's one of the biggest things we did recently. The other thing that we want is we want students to have like close connections to faculty, right? They want immediate feedback. So another thing we work on is how can we make sure that students get that direct feedback from faculty on their performance, right, on their presentations. So we are trying to kind of get this this connection closer and closer. And so I think these are the two big things on our agenda currently. Further integrate ESG sustainability into the agenda and further integrate students, right, with each other, but also into the Frankfurt School community and with the faculty. Yeah. And the other thing we continuously do is we update our electives. So if we see there's no demand, we create a new elective. And I think this is important, right, to be agile on these things. And let me say one thing that I think is special and nice. Our alumni can come back for an elective. So even if they finish their MBA, they can come back for one elective per year, either online or in person. And many pick up that option because, as we discussed, right, given time constraint, they usually can choose 6 electives out of 20 something. But they can come back. So 1 year later can take one more elective. Another year they can take an elective. So that's the beauty, I think, of the program where we deliver on our lifelong partnership or our lifelong learning offering. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do most of your international students, full-timers, do they end up staying near Frankfurt, would you say?
No. I think they would be spread out over Germany. They would be spread out over Europe. And then partially they would just end up anywhere. So that could be the US, that could be China, that could be Singapore, that could be Latin America. I think you could argue a majority has its first job in Germany.
Yeah.
And from there they expand, right?
But
it's not close to Frankfurt. We have many students going to Berlin, to Munich, to Hamburg, Stuttgart. No, like Germany is a bit decentralized. If you think about the big companies, they are spread out over the country. And so that then also happens essentially to our alumni.
That makes sense. And in terms of your faculty, how many faculty members are there at the Frankfurt School?
Yeah. So we're currently around 70 full-time faculty at the school, spread out over various fields. So we have a finance department, we have an accounting department, we have an economic and law department, we have a computer science department, so and many others, a management department. So we are splitting them a little bit along fields. So this is the core faculty that we have. And as I said, we supplement them quite frequently with external faculty, either from other business schools or out of practice that would be coming for teaching.
Crystal clear. Nice.
And faculty, again, is diverse. You have different countries, you have different nationalities, different backgrounds. That's also part of the value proposition, part of our goal.
And last question about the program is like, why Frankfurt as an MBA destination? I mean, I'd love to hear your opinion as well as maybe what you've heard back from the international students about what they like or what, listeners should know about. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair question, and everyone should ask himself, right, when he starts an MBA and make that choice. I think what we offer is we offer a great 1-year program, right? If you say I want to be out of the job market for 1 year, I think that's a great choice, right? And as I said, value price is good. Second, we're at the heart of Europe. So what we just discussed, right? It's your entry into the European job market. After you finish your MBA, you get a visa for the job market. So if you get a job, you would be able to stay in the European Union. You can move within the European Union. So that's the second one. And the third one, right, I think as I said, it's a rigorous program that teaches you all the knowledge you need, but it also teaches all the practical applications. And given that we have a bit smaller program, like 30 to 40 in one cohort, we can also deliver that very close interaction with faculty. So when they go out, they tell me, right, faculty is approachable by email at the office. I can meet with them. I can discuss ideas. So I think we're a program that in that sense also care about the students and help them make that transition, because we understand it's not always easy. Some of the students, they change job, they change country and maybe profile, and all within 1 year.
So Adrian, what about living in Frankfurt, living in the city? What is it like?
Yeah, I think Frankfurt is a great city for living. So you have at all the big companies in the heart of Frankfurt. You have, the stuff you could do in the evening, theaters and the stuff around. But then you could also go to the green very quickly, like to the mountains. And students love that mixture that they can get here. And Frankfurt is a very international city. It has a huge airport. So students also appreciate the international feeling that they have over students from other programs. And so, students like living in Frankfurt, what I can see. And it's in the middle of Germany. It's in the middle of Frankfurt. Many of them explore Europe. Many of them explore Germany while they are here over their weekends. By train and airplane, you get everywhere in Germany within a few hours, and the same applies for Europe.
I really need to visit.
Yeah, you
Germany
should.
is one of those countries that is front and center that I've just never been to. I've made so many friends from Germany, but I've never been. Need to stop in Frankfurt for sure. Adrian, if we could turn our attention to admissions now, I guess first question I always ask each school is generally, like, what are you looking for from applicants to your program?
Yeah. So what we are looking for essentially are interesting personalities that fit well into our classroom. And that could be from many dimensions. That could be like people that have a strong academic background that we think fit great in the classroom. That could be people that have a large set of practical experience, for example, in different industries, in different countries. That could also be people that bring in a very strong international view into our classroom. For example, when we start our program, we have a leadership camp. We just had that last weekend, and there were 2 people who had been working in 10 different countries. And so it's very interesting to bring those people into the classroom and show them to others what type of experience we have. And so in that sense, we don't have one particular profile we are looking for, but per se, if you score well on dimensions like practical experience, academic background, and internationality, this is something that would make you very interesting for our program.
And do you guys prefer candidates to have more work experience? I saw that you require at least 3 years of postgraduate work experience, and your average class has about 7 years of work experience.
That's right. So 3 is the minimum because we think like people need a certain set of experience to have the biggest benefit of the program, because we teach it like a post-experience program. We teach stuff like leadership, we teach cases. So in that sense, the minimum is 3 years. The average work experience is often in the ballpark between 6 and 7 years. That's right. Which shows you people come in, right? Not on a, like, if you think about the banking sector, not on an analyst level, but on an associate level. They come in, they want to lead teams. And so in that sense, this is the part of the people we are targeting. But that doesn't say, right, if you have a very nice profile, we accept people that have 3 years of work experience. Below that, we usually don't.
And what about from the test score angle? Like, given that you guys have an accelerated program, are you looking for certain minimums in terms of GMATs or GRE scores?
They are input in our process, but they are no minimums. For example, if you have a strong practical experience or something on another dimension, you can easily complement that. Clearly, they are an input, but they are not any type of minimums that we are setting out there. And something that's maybe important, so we either take GMAT or we have our own test. It's called a business methods test, which is relatively fast to complete. So this is also another way that students can go if they don't have done something like GMAT yet.
Got it. And I also noticed that you guys have a case study essay. Is this the one essay that's required? I mean, it's very unique. And first, let me confirm that that's the essay you guys require.
That's right. So what we send out with the application is a small case. Sometimes it's just a newspaper article. Sometimes it's a one-pager on something else, where we just want to see how students think. So there's often no right or wrong on that answering, but we want to see, right, how did they approach a problem? Because at the end, what the MBA teaches, it's problem-solving skills. It's not that I can tell you now what you need in finance in 10 or 15 years, but I can teach them the skills that they need to tackle the problems that come up in 10 or 15 years. And so with that case, we're trying to tackle this a little bit. We let them think very freely about an upcoming topic, and we just want to see how do they tackle that problem? How do they structure their answer? And for this, we use a case study, a short one. Yes.
And do you guys require applicants to talk about their goals or plans post-MBA in your application?
Yeah, there's a short text they can put in when it comes to the application, where they ask them, where do you see yourself in the future? What do you want to achieve? I think it's a nice way to see what students want to do, right? And also for us to see, is the MBA the right thing? I don't want to sell an MBA to someone where I think the fit is not the right one. And so that helps us a little bit to also tell students, yes, we think you're a good fit for that program. If you already have like a strong management education and you know all that stuff, right? Maybe you do some specialized masters. So in that sense, these questions we ask also help us to guide students through the process and tell them what's the right one for you. But if you think about our MBA portfolio, if someone we think it's a better fit, a part-time MBA, we advise to go to the part-time MBA. Or if we think it's the executive MBA that's a better fit, we advise this one. And so there where the question help us a little bit and where we can also see from the work experience where the best fit is.
Got it. And I also noticed your interviews seem to be conducted by faculty members.
This is right. So not always, but our interviews are either done by program management or by faculty members. So I'm doing interviews, other faculty members are doing interviews. I think it's a nice two-way interaction, right? Students immediately get to know the people that they will see in the classroom. And I think this is beautiful. And for us, we also get to know the students that we will see later on. And now the interview is very similar, right? Whether it's done by program management or by faculty. But yes, students will get to know the faculty early on that they will see to teach, usually me, sometimes one or two other faculty members that help us out. But again, I think it's a big plus of that process that you quickly got to see people. Often students have questions. Is that the right program? Do I get to learn the skills that I want to learn? And as the academic director, I have an oversight over those things. And so I quickly answer those questions. And I think there's a big benefit if you meet faculty.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, when you're in those interviews over Zoom or you're looking through those applications, like what makes someone really jump out? What makes someone get you excited about meeting them?
Yeah, I think like people that show that they're very ambitious, right? I always like that. And that show that have kind of overcome some hurdles to get where they are. I think I like them because the MBA program, again, right? It's an interesting experience. It's a very rewarding experience, but it's also a challenging experience. You have courses, you have job search and everything. So you're also looking a little bit for resilience, people that kind of will make that journey and that will invest a lot to make that journey. And so this is also something that I found interesting. If people have shown experience, if they have shown that they can overcome challenges. And so one question I always ask in those interviews is, tell me about one of your biggest challenge, right? On the management side, what did you do? What new product did you introduce? It shows you how people think, what they have achieved, and also what they could do later on. And this is something I would love to learn and then love to meet them later on. And if people are in Europe, we also offer them, come to our campus, sit in some of the teachers and the classes we teach. So there's always the option to come to Frankfurt School, to sit in the classes, to see the facilities, to see the buildings, to see the city. So this is also something that we offer.
So your answer made me think of this question, which is sometimes when we face challenges at work, say a management challenge or a personal challenge, we don't always overcome them, right?
Yep.
Is that useful to share or no?
It is. And think about entrepreneurs. Like this year, I think we have 3 to 4 entrepreneurs that either sold their business or had to give it up. But I think they learned everything along the way. So if you have some experience like this, I think this is absolutely fine to share. You explain the challenge. I think I would quickly understand this is probably a big challenge that you were facing. And if you made some headway on this, I think this is absolutely fair to challenge, to explain that you had that challenge and you faced it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can testify. I'm one of those entrepreneurs. I feel like I overcome maybe half of my obstacles, if that. But
exactly. And along the way, you probably learned a little bit of finance, a little bit of accounting, a little bit of marketing, right? And so in that sense, these people are great, right? Coming here into the classroom.
Yeah. What other tips do you have for applicants to improve their chances in your application process?
I think as an applicant in practically every school, right? What we discussed now is just try to see a bit how you stand out, because all schools look for a diverse profile. Tell them what you did before, right? Tell them what challenges you had. Tell them about your experiences. And honestly, I think for me and many others, that's much higher on the list than a few more GMAT points. The GMAT points are important, or any test points that you can do, but we are looking for people, right, that go out and have an impact on the business world and in society. And these are skills you can't always test. And these are skills you get to know in an interview. So whenever I start the interview, I tell the person, tell me for 3 or 4 minutes who you are. And this is something that you can prepare, right? Prepare how you introduce yourself. What's your background? What's your experience? Why do you want to do an MBA? Everyone cares about why you want to do an MBA now, to see how you fit in. And then what's your target, right? And does the MBA help you achieve that target? What's your dream job? I often ask about your dream job. I know life is tricky, right? And there are many twists and turns, but it's good to see what people want to do in the long run.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing some of those questions. So listeners, there's some great hints there for how you can prepare. But yeah, I mean, to answer the question, who you are in 3-4 minutes, it's not easy actually. But I think for all MBA applicants, it's a good one to sort of reflect upon before any interview.
It's not an easy one to answer when you heard it the first time. And that's why I say you can prepare for it. But it also helps you to reflect, right?
Yes,
Who absolutely. I am, where do I stand, where do I want to go? If you have that clearly in your mind, I think you can also quickly figure out what MBA do you want to do, where do you want to do it, and is it the right timing? So this is something that you probably want to go through while you prepare for your MBA journey.
Yeah. And as someone who's academic director and who teaches in the program, like if you could put your faculty hat on, like what type of student in the classroom you're excited to have in your classroom?
So me personally, but I think it's a common trait, I like to have students who are very curious. I know they all don't know finance, right? There are some people with a finance background and they know that, but many have limited experience, limited exposure to finance. And what I like most is curiosity, right? They should ask me questions. They should challenge myself if the explanation is not exactly right. I think this helps everyone. If someone is willing to ask that question that everyone in the room was having but wasn't willing to ask, everyone is going to learn something. So if you come into that room, if you show your curiosity, obviously I think it's very good if you do your pre-reading because that helps in the group work and everything. But if you want to bring that down to one characteristics, I think curiosity is the key one that helps you almost everywhere.
Yeah. No, that's great. Thanks for sharing that. And in terms of scholarships, how does the Frankfurt School view scholarships? And what do applicants need to know to improve their chances of winning some if they're able to get in?
Yes, so as every school, we offer scholarships for our MBA students, right? They are part of the deal in some way. It's happening, the application through the application process or the application for the scholarship. I think what's important there is, right, to explain why you are the right person to give a scholarship to. If you think about that process, you could imagine that many students apply for a scholarship, but that we have limited resources as every school. So it's again about standing out and explaining, hey, you are the right person for that scholarship. This is, I think, a key part, and you should think about this. And we ask for a short explanation, a short description of why students think they're a good fit for that specific scholarship that they are asking for.
Yeah, and I want to make it clear what those categories are for the scholarships. I believe you have diversity and international scholarships, women in business scholarships, entrepreneur and leadership scholarships, and specialized background scholarships in engineering, finance, technology, and innovation. Is that correct, or did I miss some?
I think we also have a high-performing one, which is like for candidates yes. that are very high-performing. Otherwise, this is right. This, I think, helps us really sort out already, and the student, what scholarship do I apply for, right? A thought process, where do I fit? Why do I ask for a scholarship? And then like conditional on the scholarship they choose, they can then tell us why they think they are the right person, right? The person we discussed before who started his business and failed, he can ask for an entrepreneurship scholarship, right? He asked us, oh, this is what I did. It failed. Now I come back to school. I learn the remaining skills and I restart that thing and now it's going to fly. I think this is a nice way to tell that story, right? Or women in business. We clearly want to have a classroom that is also diverse when it comes to gender. And so there is a women in business scholarship, and women face sometimes more challenges than males when it comes to the corporate world. And so an explanation about these challenges and how you overcome them allows us to think about that women in business scholarship.
Great. And last question on the admissions front, Adrian, is just, do you have any like pet peeves that you just wish more applicants knew about when they were applying? Like kind of easy mistakes they could avoid as you see so many applications.
There's nothing specific that comes to my mind, I would say. I think like our application process is quite smooth. So maybe one thing, so we have on top of scholarships, a variety of early bird offers, which reduce the tuition fee quite substantially. And sometimes
Yes.
students apply just after that early bird. And that's obviously a big pity. So I think students should start that process early. They should carefully think about, do I want to do the MBA? But if the answer is yes, they should start that process early, so that they get the early bird fees. And then the other thing, which is a little bit of a hangover from COVID, visa applications are still slow throughout Europe, throughout the world. So that's another reason why starting early is maybe one thing that I would put on every student's list, so that you get the visa early on, that you're in Germany, that you can settle before the program starts. So I think this is a big thing.
Great. And yeah, let's talk about careers now and the opportunities that your school helps MBA students with. Like, I guess I'm going to change the order of this here, but what should students' expectations be, do you think, for boosting their careers with your full-time MBA program?
So I think what that full-time MBA to your career does, it shows that you have A, the ambition, B, that you're willing to invest in your career, and C, that you have acquired a lot of knowledge that's helpful. The usual example I give to people, if you have been an engineer and you suddenly want to work for a bank, sending cold application to a bank almost never works. Going through an MBA, learning the skills, getting the network, that's potentially a way to do that. So I think if students think about changing industry, changing careers, or making that big step in the ladder, the corporate ladder, the MBA is extremely helpful for your career. And that's usually how I see that program and how it helps. And obviously, there's a lot of support that comes from the Frankfurt School so that you can make that step.
Yeah, I mean, so could you tell us about some of the notable ways you feel you really help your MBA students?
So what we have is we have a very strong career services team, and we started from day one. So on the opening day, people get to know the career services so that they are helpful, that they are ready to talk to them. And then one day per week, often Thursday, students have a career day. And during that career day, they are going to learn how to rate a CV, how to do a presentation, how to network. They're going to learn about industries in Germany, in Europe. So they are really getting to know how you set up your career from the start. So that career service that we do in the classroom then extends to one-to-one meetings. Students can book meetings with their career counselors. They can help them identify their dream job. They can identify the path towards that dream job. On top, we offer career fairs. So in November, we have a big career fair. It's upcoming. We are planning. We have many big companies, German ones, European ones, global ones, that are coming on campus and presenting themselves. And also online. So one day is in person, one day is online. And that truly gives the students the chance to make that connection and kickstart their career.
And do your students do internships during the 12-month program?
That's right. Good point. So we also offer the ability to do internships. So during the first 3 to 4 months, that's tricky because they are the core courses that's very kind of time consuming and everything. But when the elective period starts, many of our students are doing a few internships or work studies, working student positions. And we also help them get to those positions. So I would say the average student does one. Sometimes we see people doing two. And
Wow.
here and there, you even get a job getting out of that part. Yeah.
So, like, how are they able to work and take classes, right? I mean, is it
Very
kind of
good.
like a...
So yes, our elective courses are taught in a very condensed fashion. So these are usually 2.5 days. For example, Monday to Wednesday or Friday to Sunday. And so in that sense, by organizing your time well, you can put that working student or internship next to this. It wouldn't be a full-time internship. That's tricky to do, but there are many part-time internships where the employers fully understand the students are studying on the side, and then they can do that.
And let me use that point as something that I think is critical for every student. Be organized. Whether this is you study here, you study somewhere else, you should try to be very well organized as a student, because there are many demands on your time. It's careers, it's study, it's language learning. And so it's very important to be organized and to be able to handle this a variety of things in parallel.
Yeah. So this question, I have a question with regards to your class size and how that affects how the Frankfurt School reaches out to employers, right? Because you have I would say a smaller class size than most MBA programs. And yeah, I'm just wondering how the students approach companies. Do the companies come on campus, or how does it work? Yeah.
Fair point. So first thing, yes, we are a bit on the smaller side. I think there are many benefits to this. Example, you can't hide in the classroom, right? I know everyone by name, and I will ask everyone, I will force everyone to ask questions, which at that time might feel a bit intimidating, but ex post, everyone says, yes, that's the way I learned, right? That's the way I got into this one. So that's the one thing where I think there's a big benefit. Second big benefit, you get one-to-one session with career counseling all the time, right? So we have enough resources to do that. And then the third one, we're maybe not that big on the MBA, but then we have the part-time MBA, we have the executive MBA, we have a master in management, we have a master in finance. So companies come to those career fairs and they search for all different fields, right? And for all different positions. So in that sense, even though being a small program, we have that big school in the background, and that big school attracts the employers for career fairs. And then the MBAs are there and they can network and then they fit in.
Yeah. I mean, what is it like alumni at a business school, at a German business school? I mean, is it different than what you've seen at other business schools? I'm just, yeah, I'm not familiar with that culture.
No, I think we try to push there the same culture that everyone does. So there are many benefits. I will talk about them in a second to be part of our alumni cohort. I always tell students already on day one, there are many expectations that we have, right? They are part of the community and we expect them to behave like this in business and everywhere. But the benefits are clearly right. These alumni help you. These alumni help you to get a job. These alumni might help you to get funding if you start your entrepreneurship career. And in that sense, there are many benefits. We offer homecoming. We offer alumni events where students come back to campus regularly on an annual basis with parties and barbecues. So in that sense, we build that network. And again, you're not only having access to our MBA network, you're also having access to the other network. And that network is per se spread all over the world. We have these MBA events in Zurich, we have them in Asia, we have them in New York. So there you really benefit from the big school in the background.
Yeah, and I guess my last.
And one thing,
Yep,
if you let me,
yes.
I think because students have a pretty good experience here, they're really committed to the school when they leave. So I often get emails where students say, "Oh, I have another students I can recommend you," or "Can I help you guys?" I'm happy to reach out to students and tell them. So if we have our online events to aspiring students, we often invite one or two of our current students into the room so that they tell them a little bit about the experience. Or when we have our opening day, we let current students tell them what the experience are, what best practices are. So we are really making use of that network for the school.
Do you feel like you can boil down some traits of international students who are not from Germany who come to your program and succeed in landing their target post MBA job, right? Or landing with a company they really want to be with? Like, could you talk a little bit about that?
I think it's not always the one trait, but probably there's a combination of traits that help you. I think one is you have to be ambitious. That's number one, right? These people that we see, they are ambitious and they do something. As I said before, what helps you in the classroom, but also outside the classroom, be curious. People suddenly realize there are companies in Germany they never heard the name of that make billions of revenue and billions of profit. And suddenly they figure out, hey, in fact, this is my dream job, right? They are in a niche, but they are the market leader, they are world leader. So curiosity helps you, but not to ignore, right? You have to be hardworking. It's a one-year program. In that one-year program, you have to go through the academic studies. You have to work on your career. You have to work on your German. So this is clearly something that we are trying to make sure also from the start, it's a rewarding year, as I said before, but it's also a challenging year with lots of investment. Now, you have the support of the school, you have the support of your cohort, but there's still a big investment you have to do to really get to that level. But then, as I said, the reward could be huge. It could be your dream job. And I think these traits are quite relevant.
I've really enjoyed this conversation, Adrian. I just want to ask you, is there anything else about the Frankfurt School of Finance and Management MBA program that you just wish more candidates knew about?
No, thanks a lot, Darren. I think it was a great way for us to also introduce us. Maybe not everyone knows about the Frankfurt School. I hope they learned a lot about the Frankfurt School to get interested using that podcast. And then I can just advise everyone to reach out. We are all reachable. I'm reachable. The admission teams is reachable. We do online events. We do in-person events. Just make use of those resources and see if you like what you see. I hope you do. And then apply to the Frankfurt School.
Thank you very much, Adrian.
Thank you, Darren. My pleasure.
Thanks for listening to the Touch MBA podcast. Remember, you can get free school selection help and a profile review at touchmba.com. You can also follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter. Just search for Touch MBA.